Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and welcome back to day 3 of my Halloween series for 2008. We're going to do things a little bit differently. We're not going to make a card, we're going to make a tag. And today, in this one, I'm going to feature Picket Fence Studios and Stampers Anonymous. So, Picket Fence Studios, I just have a habit of, going around the internet and doing some shopping and all that stuff. I saw this stamp from Picket Fence and I fell in love with it. When it showed the broom and says, yes, I do drive stick, I knew I just had to have it. It fits my warped sense of humor. It's very warped. I also saw these wonderful tags, and of course I pulled something from my stash, and it is those claws through Sizzix, and those dies are absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to use those 3 products and a few others, of course. And we're going to make a tag. Now, what's great about these tags, there are 5 of them. They're number 8 tags, and then you also get some reinforcers. I didn't use those, but these are thick. So if you're going to make a tag in an area that's going to be handled a lot, a door knocker or anything like that, these are the ones that you want. To make a tag, do you need to use these? No. I have the Dick Blick Studio Acrylic Collection. I thought it was very reasonable. It was like under $40. I think you got like 40 different colors. And these are the acrylics that I have. I also have the other ones from my local craft store as well. But I wanted to pull one of these out, and I just wanted to put a coat of red down onto my tag. Set that aside. Let's let that dry. I dug into my obnoxiously large paper stash, and of course that's a new paper pad that I'm using, the Spooky Boo from American Crafts, and I set the claws up to make it look like something was clawing at it. Now you can have a lot of fun with these dies. I love these dies. I got them last year. I just love them. And yes, of course, they are by Tim Holtz. So we move on. So you can do a couple things. Now, I chose the piece of cardstock for my background on my tag. Again, now you can see why I did the red, because I want the red to come through. Now, you could really distress those claws up, but because of the way that they're formed and designed, you really don't have to. You can let them flat, and it looks like they're tattered and they're torn. It's a lot of awesomeness going on there. Halloween is my favorite holiday, but I like the creepy Halloween. No, I don't go to haunted houses. No, I don't watch horror films. I only watch one when it's on TV, and that's the original Halloween. That's it. I don't watch horror films at all. So, yeah, I'm different. Let's just go with that. Different and unique. Weird. We can add weird too. But I do like the creepy end of Halloween when I create either cards or tags especially. So I am okay, back to the card or the tag. So I am adding some vintage photo. Now you knew vintage photo was going to come in, and I'm only adding it to the one side, and there's a reason. So I grabbed the stamp, and I'm going to use my stamp positioner, and I want to set this. Now I could have put it to the center. I went to the side, and I'm going to use my VersaFine ink to stamp this because I want to use my clear embossing powder over that. I did have to stamp this a couple times. This is Bristol cardstock that I'm using. I did treat it with my anti-static tool first, and I think I stamped this about 3 times. Everything else went really well. It was just to get the broom. I wanted that to be absolutely solid, so that's pretty much what I did focus on when I kept on stamping it. Excuse me. Pulled out my clear embossing powders. I wish those containers were a little bit bigger, but I like them. Anyway, gonna heat set that until it is all melted across, and now I pulled out my oxides. So I have antique linen, I have gathered twigs, I have ground espresso, and I even have some black soot pulled out. For this blend, I'm going to use my finger daubers. I like using the finger daubers, but sometimes, you know, when you get into bigger backgrounds, it could take forever. So I want to put down my antique linen first, and I want the broom and this sentiment to be like in a halo. So that's why I went down the center with the antique linen. I'm then going to come in with gathered twigs around the outside. Again, not focusing right now on the blends. I just want to get the color down. And now on the outside, I'm going to put the ground espresso, which is a really nice dark brown. It is one of, yes, Vintage Photo is my favorite ink. But in the oxides, I do like the ground espresso and the deep dark that it has. Once I have these colors down, I'm going to come now back in. I'm going to grab that finger dauber and just go all over with the antique linen, which will help blend all of this. I know I still have some harsh lines, but that's because I'm going to come in and I'm going to spray this. I'm going to use my distress sprayer and just let that dry. I don't want to pick it up. I want those splatters to have the difference in the colors. It's the second reason why I love distress oxides. When you add water to it, they oxidize. They change a color. They get this gray tint or another type of tint to it. Now, I'm kind of doing two things here. So, yes, you're going to cringe because I'm about to tear my paper and I'm tearing close up to the broom. I'm losing all of that texture that I just created. It's okay. It's going to come back. So I'm going to tear both sides. Now, if you notice, if I pull towards me, I don't see the white background. If I push away from me, I'm seeing the paper. So I want to make sure when I'm tearing that the paper's coming towards me because I don't want that white part of the paper. I'm going to highlight or accent with the black soot using my finger dauber around this edge. Again, just to frame this because it is going on top of the tag. So I really want this to stand out. This is kind of the focal point of the tag. Now again, this is a very basic layered journal, art journal type tag. There's so much more you can do with this. I wanted to show you that, hey, here's another way to use what we have in our stash. To dig into that and use it up so that we feel better, so we don't throw it out, which we hardly ever do. But with that panel, I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape. Just because it's a tag doesn't mean you can't use the same items. I'm using my double-sided foam tape because I actually want this propped up. And it is going to overhang on the one side, and that's okay too. Everything else was cut to the tag, but I do like, again, just like with my cards, same principles can come into making a tag. I do like things to hang off. For me, it gives movement, texture, dimension, all of that, even though it's a tag. The only thing I always make sure that is clipped is the top portion where the corners are cut in. That forms the tag shape. That area I do tend to always trim down to be that size. Keeps the tag shape. So here's that piece that I tore off, and I'm going to add some Vintage Photo to that. You can see what's great by adding the Vintage Photo. I'm covering up the cardstock that was torn because that was pushed away from me, making it very dark, but I'm also not losing the distressed areas, the texture that I created with the distress sprayer. So I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and just get that propped right up on there. Make sure that's glued down and secured, and then I'm just going to trim that away. It's very easy to trim around this tag, even though it is thick. I do find, though, that longer shears are better for that. Using the smaller ones, my cutter bees, it's kind of tough because your hand is trying to get around that. I pulled out my black soot ink, distress ink, and my mini blender, and I'm actually going around the whole edge and just adding a lot of black to that, finishing up with some vintage photo that was left on the other blender that never gets put away, just to blend all of that out. I've got to repunch the hole. So I have this, I don't even know where I got it. I think I got it at my local craft store, but it is a huge hole punch that's able to get through the thickness of that tag. It is very thick. It's close to, it's just under 1/4 of an inch in the thickness. So I pulled out some of, this is like a tulle lace. I get rolls of this from Paper Mart. Very inexpensive. You get a ton of this. So I cut a section of it and I'm stripping it. I'm going to put them all together, fold them in half, and I'm going to squeeze all of that through the hole at the top of the tag. When it comes to a Halloween tag, I do like to use a lace or a tulle, just all kinds of different things. This I just wanted to stick with the black lace, and now I'm just going to fiddle around with this, making sure all of the edges are pulled up and even around the top, and each one I'm actually pulling so that I can get that top knot tight. Just trimming and almost like giving a little tiny trim to the top of the tassel to make it spiky so that it's not square. And again, that's just the top. I don't think it needs any more. I grabbed my Nuvo black drops and I'm just putting those around the brew. And then once that's set and once that's done, that is our day 3 project. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now you can see on the close-ups, yes, I dropped the tag while the drops were wet. So I had to do a little bit of cleanup there, but I still like it. Made it look more distressed. So dig into your stash, see what you have. Just because we have all of this, yes, we are card makers, but in reality, we are paper crafters. So again, paper, you can do anything with it. You can make a tag, you can make a layout, you can scrapbook, you can make a scrapbook album, you can make an art journal, you can make cards. So give it a try, stretch your supplies in other ways. All the products that I use for this video will be linked down below, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You don't want to miss anything else that's coming out. But remember what's most important. Always be creative.